everybody, this is Caroline Zwick from carolineswick.com, and this is the third video of my interview series called Find Your Voice, and which is basically meant to give you a private insight into how different people out there have found their own voice and have used it to create careers and lives for themselves that they love. Today I have the honor to be here with my good friend Nadya Andreeva. Hi Nadya.
Hi everyone.
Nadya is a wellness coach, and she specializes in Ayurveda and mindful eating, specifically to help women heal digestion and digestive issues. Nadya is simply amazing, and I'm so excited to have you here with us today.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Great. So my first question for you, Nadya, I know I already gave a little introduction on you, but how would you describe what you do today? And then we'll figure out how you got to this place.
Yeah. I guess I'm doing now so many things that it's hard to describe in one sentence what exactly I do. But as you mentioned, I do specialize in helping women heal their digestive issues. And I predominantly do that through the help of becoming a more mindful eater, learning and understanding the question of why we eat, what we eat, and how we eat. And then also looking at the Ayurveda and pulling out some concepts that we can use in our modern Western life from this ancient science to help us heal our body, heal our digestion. I really believe that it's not only the outer wisdom or the inner wisdom, so it's not just the expert knowledge or purely relying on the intuition. I think it's more of a collaboration of the inner and outer wisdom. So that's where Ayurveda and mindfulness works so well together.
Yeah, I completely agree with that it's always a communication between what's going on the inside and what can be learned from the outside, and really combining the two. And I know I've been to some of your workshops, and they've been not only incredibly informative, but always fun, and there's always great food. So I'm all for your workshops.
I like great food, and I think all women deserve to have a good relationship with food.
Yeah, I completely agree. So how did you get to this place? Like, what did you start off with? Like, what did you study that sort of got you started?
Well, I actually studied something completely unrelated to digestion or Ayurveda to begin with. I was studying first economics and then psychology, but my own body pushed me to start thinking about nutrition and the way I was treating my own body. And that's where I was almost forced to start researching natural ways that our body can heal, because my doctor wanted to put me on hormones for the rest of my life to fix my PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome. And I think a lot of women have it, and it's not something horrible, not something that's regarded horrible by a lot of practitioners. It's just something that you fix by taking hormones for the rest of your life. And for me, it didn't seem like it was a good way to treat my body. So I started researching Ayurveda. I started looking into functional medicine and working with different practitioners. And on the way, I started taking lots of workshops and did wellness coaching certification and then professional training in mindfulness eating. And I would fly to New Mexico to study with Dr. Ladd and drive to different places because it was so fascinating. And even after about 2 years, when my issues were gone, the passion for Ayurveda and for working with women was just kind of starting. And it seemed so natural, and it came, I wouldn't say that it came really easy, but because I was so passionate about it, it didn't seem like it was that bad to sit by the computer from 7 in the morning until midnight, because I was learning so much interesting stuff and working with so many interesting people. That's how my business started. Because women who had similar issues would come to me asking me the same questions that I already answered for myself. So for me, it just was very natural to guide them and to provide them resources that helped me on my journey.
Yeah. And I think, like that is such a fascinating way to like discover your passion, is really by, in a way, being forced by your body to take a closer look at what is really going on, and not, taking something that a doctor is telling you to do for the golden rule or the perfect solution for you and for everybody else, but really digging a little bit deeper, and how, along with that, how like an injury or an illness can be a blessing in disguise, because it's sort of forcing you to stop and reconsider and like learn, like kind of like open a new chapter of your life.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think a lot of things that hurt us, whether it's an injury or a chronic disease or even a behavior that's hurting us, and we know that it's hurting us, all of those things can be potentially very good teachers, and they can help us transform our life and find our passion. But oftentimes, stopping and giving yourself time to analyze what's happening and why it's happening can be really difficult and sometimes painful. It's not an easy way to find a passion or to find job. But I think a lot of women, for example, who struggle with compulsive eating, once they resolve it, they have so much knowledge, so much experience, so much passion for that it's natural for them to go into that field. And the same probably would go to somebody who healed their digestion or who healed their blood sugar disorder. This healing process teaches you a lot about human body, about our behaviors, about our psychology. And then as a natural way to progress is to let others know what you actually learned.
Share.
And that goes and closes the circle.
Yeah, I love that. And it's so interesting, because that also reminds me, of my own story with my back injury, and really having something like physical happen that really changed the path I was following professionally completely. So how, for you, how has discovering that passion of yours and like really diving into Ayurveda and like sort of, making the best out of your situation and coming out on the other end a completely like reinvented like Nadya, like how has that changed other areas?
I wouldn't say that I was completely reinvented. And every time when somebody asks me what was the transformation moment, I'm having a hard time pinpointing one transformation moment. I think for me it was a lot of different moments and realizations and decisions that I made for myself. There was never a complete turning point, like, okay, now you're done and now you're on a perfect journey where everything is clear and
easy and
easy. It hasn't happened, and I don't think it happens for anyone like that. It's a matter of making many small decisions, some of them that are difficult, some of them come a little bit easy. But as long as, I don't know what's the right way to put it, I think as long as you're very honest with yourself and you do choose what feels right with the right intention, that's probably going to be the right thing.
Yeah. And it kind of goes back to what you also now do with women, like teaching them mindfulness, and whether that's mindful eating or mindful being is kind of like the same thing in a way.
Yeah, and I personally think that mindfulness is such an incredibly powerful tool, because what it allows us to do is it allows us to become better students of our body. Our body communicates quite a lot of wisdom to us throughout the day. But because our attention is so external most of the time, we're kind of forced by our society to pay attention to what's happening outside of our body to survive and to work and to be active in the society. And that draws us away from being present and learning from our body. once you start being mindful of the breath and being mindful of how things feel in the body, what emotions come into the body, and how decisions feel in the body, and you tap into an incredible source of wisdom for making decisions, whether it's work related or relationship related, about food, because it's almost impossible to hurt your body by any sort of a behavior, including food-related behavior, when you are fully breathing and when you're feeling your body. Because it's like, okay, I'm feeling the pain, and let me just hurt myself a little bit more. It doesn't work like that. It's a matter of drawing your attention back into the body, back into the breath, even if it's in the middle of a binging process or in the middle of any other process that you know might be hurting your body. Starting to be a little bit more compassionate, and mindfulness draws that compassionate. They're so close together.
And I definitely see that as being like one of the biggest challenges for people, whether it be, like overcoming emotional eating or changing their lives around, making a like significant other choice, making a job choice, all of those things. Like, it all comes down to distinguishing between what does the external world want for me and what do I actually feel is right for myself. I think a lot of times people end up try to look for quick fixes, and that, as you said, even about your own life, like, that doesn't really work. Like, change happens like in small, consistent steps. And then also, go ahead.
Well, I was just thinking that it's not that they're looking for a one-time solution. I think what happens is that we get brought up with the notion that somebody besides us should know better how we should eat and what we should be doing. And we have kind of this path outlined by nutritionists and fitness experts and business consultants that tell us what's the right way to eat, what's the right way to exercise, what's the right way to build the business. And knowing that there's somebody that you can rely on makes us completely forget about the responsibility that we have for ourselves to actually think about certain things ourselves. So if somebody tells you to go vegan tomorrow, or to go raw tomorrow, or to eat meat every day and to go paleo, how do you make that decision? Like, how do you feel about making decision? And what would your body say if you asked your body? And I think taking the responsibility back, using experts just as a guideline, but actually making the decision based on using basically the expert knowledge, which is the outer wisdom, and then checking in with your inner wisdom and coming up with a decision based on collaboration of both. So it's not just somebody told me to eat this or somebody told me to exercise this many times a day, but experimenting with that outer wisdom and coming up with your personal
solution. Yeah, I love that. So how have things in your life changed? Because obviously, like, that's something that you taught yourself in the process of healing your own body. But once you made those changes in your own life, how did other areas in your life change also? Meaning, like, did something change in your love life? Did something, like your career obviously changed, but and the other area I like to talk about is play. Like, how you play, how you give yourself free time and time to enjoy your life. Like, how has that changed?
Well, I think all the changes were slow in all areas. In some area, we can be quite successful in one area, and then other areas can stay behind. So for me, the whole notion of play and giving myself free time didn't come that easy, because going through NYU economics and then master's program, it was kind of like, if you're not type A personality who needs to achieve super high grades and maintain a high GPA, you were not considered seriously. So that's the approach I took to everything, including diet and exercise. Like, if I'm supposed to exercise, it's so much better if I exercise every single day for 2 hours a day. And if I eat right, then I should eat right all the time.
So there was like all or nothing, like black or white thinking.
Yeah, and the same thing was in my business. So if I was working, I needed to get everything done yesterday.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't done, then I was a horrible person. And then slowly, I'm starting to learn that as a woman, things work very differently when you relax and when you have fun and when you take slow lunch breaks and have lunch with your girlfriends. And when you actually believe, when you trust that everything is going to work out fine. And I was just talking to one of my girlfriends today that we had lunch on the roof in the middle of the Wednesday.
Yeah.
And we were talking, and I said, I have so much stuff going on. And I have a book coming up. I'm going to be leading a 7-day detox for Yoga Journal in Russia, which has over 9,000 people subscribed.
Wow.
And all of it has to be done, and I'm going on vacation.
Yeah.
And there's like so much stuff hanging on top of me. And I told her, like, for some reason, I'm not worried. I'm not worried even a bit that something is not going to go right. I just know it's going to work out.
Yeah.
And it's such an amazing feeling to trust that everything is going to work out. Because even if it doesn't, you're not going to know until it doesn't. And you still saved yourself so much time and energy of worrying about something. So what? If it doesn't work out, you'll worry about it when it doesn't work out.
Yeah. And I think that exactly what you just described is one of the most difficult things out there, like really fostering that trust within yourself that like it's going to be okay, you know. I think that that's one of the most difficult things, and I like that you said, you know, that it took you quite a while to like get to this place of like trusting, and that it's a matter of consistently sticking with it and like not giving up on that.
I would say there are two things that helped me do that. One of them is Leo from Zen Habits. It's a website. He talks a lot about simplifying your life and simplifying and changing habits. And one of the things that he said is, if you think about the worst case scenario, if you really go through the worst case scenario, it's actually not that bad. So when I think about everything I need to do for the book launch and for all the promotions, I'm thinking to myself, okay, what's the worst case scenario? Nobody's going to buy the book. But it's actually not that bad.
Yeah.
I still have my family. I still have my work. I still have my clients. So what? Is nobody going to buy it? I'm still going to be fine.
Yeah.
And that goes for pretty much everything that drives us crazy. The worst case scenario is not that bad.
I think that's a really good point of like really pulling the worst case scenario into like a tangible thing, because I think sometimes when we leave it in our head, like we make it up to be this horrible, horrible thing, and like basically tell ourselves that we're going to die if like this and this doesn't happen. And you're not going to die. You know, like the worst case scenario is no one's going to buy your book. You know, like pulling it back into like a more real piece.
Yeah, but even if you do die, so what?
Like you can't do anything about it anyway right now.
Yeah, and then you're not going to be upset if you die.
Yeah. I hope not.
Like, you're already dead.
Man.
But another thing, to be a little bit more realistic on a day-to-day basis, what I do is, at the end of my daily meditation, I use an affirmation. And that affirmation, and I guess it's a mixture of affirmation and visualization, is I tell myself that I'm being cared for and the universe supports me. And just visualize myself on like a flower petal being fully supported. And I say that everyone around me wants to help me. And this is the reality that I choose to live in. I choose to believe that everyone around me has my best interests at heart. And I think by changing your perception of reality, we have an ability to change the reality we live in. A lot of people from childhood, they have this perception that we live in a reality where everyone is fighting for themselves and everyone is against each other. So you have to kind of protect yourself and if something is going too well, then something is going to break.
Bad is going to happen. Yeah.
If somebody is being too nice, then they have something bad in their heart and they're just waiting to hit you.
Yeah.
But in reality, no. Like, people like when you treat them well, and they like to treat other people well because it feels good. And if this is the way you choose to approach things, this is the way things work out.
Yeah. Like, walk through life expecting positive things to happen to you instead of constantly trying to ward off the negative. Yeah.
And
I love that.
Remembering that approach. So when you, for example, call somebody and or send an email and you have this request, visualize how it would actually feel to have a positive reply coming. Or if you're calling an airline trying to change a ticket, visualize how it would feel to talk to the most helpful person.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I'm going to try that. All right. Well, thank you so much, Nadya. This was such valuable and amazing information. I loved hearing all of your insight, and I think that you're so sensitive and intuitive in your approach, so I really value your input.
Thank you. It was a pleasure to talk.
Yeah. And for everyone who's here, I just want to let you know that if you liked what Nadya was telling us today, she actually has something coming up. She has a webinar coming up. It's free, and it's called A Smart Way to Detox. It's on October 10th from 8:30 to 5, starting at 8:30 Eastern Time, 5:30 Pacific Time. And I'm going to post the link right under this video so you can check it out. I think it's going to be amazing.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really fun. It's going to be more about a kind way to detox, and then what to do if the person has an unhealthy relationship with food. Because if we're going into a detox with an unhealthy relationship to food, the detox is going to bring all that stuff up.
That's interesting.
So we're going to talk about what's a smart way to go about it, and I think it's going to be so much fun.
Yeah. Oh, I can't wait. All right. Thank you so much, Nadya.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
Bye.